Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. A big welcome to everybody listening, except for Kian in Delaware. Matt, you joined me today. How are you?
Except for Keane in Delaware. What am I missing?
Yeah, because he's a Liverpool fan.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I've gone right off him. No. So, a little backstory. I have friends in America, and my friend's eldest son has got quite into the glorious game of football. So, naturally, I've tried to bring him to the dark side. I mean, the light, to the Jedi, to Tottenham, to supporting a real football team. And he's decided, having watched several Premier League games, the team he most enjoys watching is Liverpool.
Yeah, fair play, to be honest.
I can't really argue with it. Yeah.
I mean, they're on for the quadruple. I mean, we're just like, we petered out of the Europa Conference League.
Yeah. They're going for 4 trophies. We're going for 4th.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers about the same, but I think that's about as close as you're going to ever get to us being anywhere near their level.
Yeah. They beat Man United 4-0. We bent over and lost to Man United anyway. Yeah. So hello everyone, except for him. But he still listens to us, so I suppose that's nice.
Oh.
Yeah, welcome back everybody. This is our weekly show where we talk about all glorious things Tottenham Hotspur. Welcome if this is your first time listening, as someone emailed in last week to say it's the first show I've ever listened to and I get the feeling that I miss out on a lot of in-jokes. And I thought to myself, yeah, you probably do.
Although to be fair to them, they've probably missed the same joke being told 100 times, which is like...
Definitely, yeah.
It's dodged a bullet.
We're at about 172 episodes now.
Wow.
I think this is this is either 172 or 173. I'm not sure, but either way, yeah, we've been making a lot of the same jokes. I mean, I did do the dedication to Laura, which I think anyone new listening was just like, what the hell is this? But I think people who've been listening for a while thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of crazy. So yeah, if you are listening for the first time or the second time, and thanks for coming back.
Yeah, and welcome.
Yeah, and thanks for giving us a try and welcome. We do try and put a happier, more positive spin on things as best we possibly can.
Yes.
But I will say you can only polish a turd so much.
We are gonna.
That being said,
go on, mate. Go
on. We need to very quickly, and I want to do it very quickly, discuss the latest game of football.
Oh, do we have to?
I say football in air quotes, okay? We at the weekend decided to let Brighton have another win in North London. I want to apologise to you, and I want to apologise to Seb. I want to apologise to everyone in that stadium who was a Tottenham fan. I want to apologise to every Tottenham fan around the world, because that was my fault at the weekend.
Go on. In
the morning, I woke up and I genuinely was looking forward to watching Tottenham.
So was I. I was buzzing.
For the first time, like, even though we'd done quite well recently, this was the first time in a long time I felt confident. I felt good about how we've been playing and genuinely looking forward to a beautiful sunshine Tottenham performance where we were going to take this team apart. I was so confident in that. I put a bet on. It was a silly bet, like our front three would all at least have 2 shots on target. I'm like, well, duh.
Yeah, that's a given.
Of course they will.
Yeah.
And then Polynesian Dan from Spurs News, he messaged me and I messaged back like, I'm really looking forward to this. And then I did say to him, I said, Dan, if all this goes wrong now, this is my fault. And he was like, yeah, it is. Definitely is. You've jinxed us. He was bloody right. I have not seen us play that poorly in quite some time now. You know, a good number. I've seen us lose, but not play that poorly in quite a while. That was really bad.
Yeah, I actually was going to apologise myself because it's actually my fault. I'll take the heat off of you, Sam.
Oh wow, okay.
So, like you said, woke up feeling positive. The sun is shining.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous morning. I thought, do you know what? there's a Spurs shirt I've never worn before, so I'm going to wear it to this game. And it's the yellow one from last season.
Yeah.
You know, with the Nike.
Yeah.
I sent you a picture, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I actually really like that shirt.
Yeah, I love it. Never worn it before. I thought this is going to bring us luck. This shirt. Never worn it before.
Yeah.
I'm never going to wear it again, mate. I'm never going to wear that shirt to a football match again.
No,
Never going to
why
wear.
would you?
And I jinxed it with that shirt, so it's actually my fault. I apologise. All right.
Well, I think perhaps we can take equal responsibility then. But anyone else out there who also went through the trauma of feeling positive and then having absolutely Tottenham all over it. Do you ever watch that sitcom Red Dwarf?
Yeah, I just love watching that. I just love it.
Did you know there's a thing in Red Dwarf, which obviously as a kid I probably saw it, but Holly, the computer, actually says in one of the shows, goes, "That's a load of Tottenham, that is."
Oh,
that's
really?
That's a steaming pile of Hotspur.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, no, genuinely, it's a thing. It's like Series 3 or something.
That's so
and
funny.
every time we play like that, I have that in my head. Oh, that's a Tottenham, that is. That's an absolute steaming pile of Hotspur. But yeah, it really was. There's no, because I've seen a few comments and I've seen a few things, and we got a couple of questions, and I have had a quick look at them. So I'm not gonna this week for once. I'm not gonna answer all the questions before we get to them.
Yeah.
But so we will get to it. But I've seen the thing that I like the most is about being a Tottenham fan is you have the core base of Tottenham fans who I think have lived through the 90s and the 2000s. So when we played that, I just went, "Ugh, not again," right? And that's your reaction. You have this kind of, "Ugh, that was awful." But then we've got this younger generation who basically grew up with their really youngest memory is Harry Redknapp's team. Then it was a bit of a blip, and then Pochettino. You buggers have been spoiled, right? Because when we play that badly against Brighton, their reaction is like they've put a tinfoil hat on and they're working out conspiracy because they're like, "No way could Tottenham ever play that badly. There must be a reason. Perhaps a drone moved across the sun at the wrong angle, just at the bad time." You know, it is. I mean, it's fun to read some of it. I think my favourites have been, you could watch the training videos the club put out this week. You could tell they weren't serious. Really? Really? I watch those pretty much every week, and they're pretty much identical.
Yeah,
It just, like, "Oh yeah, Conte wasn't there." You could tell they were just messing about, right? What training videos are you watching? I only, like, a couple of weeks ago, we hammered a team that we had no right really beating, and the training video before that was Harry Kane arguing with some conviction, by the way, that there's more doors in the world than there are wheels. And that was one of the videos at the club. So that week was fine,
Yeah.
But whatever it was this week was the issue. I don't think going over the game in some great detail is going to do anyone any good. What do you think?
I think personally that a lot of credit needs to go to Potter. He just did a number on us. Did a complete and utter number on us, you know, and don't get me wrong. I'm not going to deny that we didn't have the desire, intensity, want that we. I mean, like I was saying to the guy next to me, all of us as fans want Champions League football. We've got that want and desire for it. Why haven't those sods on the pitch got that same desire? Because they're to be ones playing in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Interestingly, that leads to one of the fun theories.
Okay. If
Tottenham get Champions League football, how many of that starting 11 are still going to be there next year?
Yeah, no, I don't buy into that. It's a bit like when a team gets promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. They go mental, and half of them not going to play. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's just that's a genuine kind of like, why would you put the effort in if you know you're going to get replaced? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, one of the players out there who is the most likely to be replaced is Ben Davies, right? He has been a makeshift left-sided central defender this season, and every time you see any transfer speculation, anytime you, even Conte in press conferences, "I want a left-sided centre-back." That's Ben's position. Like, literally, Ben is like, "Oh, cheers, guys."
Yeah.
But out of every player on the pitch, every game, I don't think you can ever argue that guy's commitment.
No,
ever.
No,
like,
you're right.
even bad days or anything like that. Eric Dyer as well, but him, no, absolutely not. And also, I see, like, Tottenham lost that game 1-0. A few of the players, I mean, they looked pissed off and they went off the pitch. Kulusevski basically tried to chin someone, he was so pissed off. So you could see their frustration, like they just couldn't get going. You could see that. Ben Davies genuinely looks like a homicidal maniac when we lose. Like, I watched him sometimes walk around the pitch, basically like swearing at himself, going mental. And it's interesting of what, like, he clearly is someone who beats himself up quite a lot over things. And it's just, yeah, so I don't buy into that myself. I don't buy into the notion of, oh no, we're fourth now, crap. If we finish fourth, I'm bombing out of here. They'll replace me. No, I don't see
rubbish.
that. I don't see it. I much, like you said, I'd much rather, see, I'm saying this and now I'm talking myself out of it. I was about to say, I'd much rather have the philosophy that they'd look at it and go, let me prove my worth so I can play Champions League football.
Yeah.
And then I go back to us in the, as you put it, the Farmers Conference League or whatever it was, and the team where our players acted like they were too Bertie Big Bollocks to show up and play in it and rightly got bombed out. So maybe there are a few of them that need a bit of a slap. I don't know. But anyway, what we'll do now, because we'll do it early, because that way we'll sort of address the things, is we're going to hand over right this second to the questions that have come into us from social media. And that way we can sort of do this early and everyone can have had their say, and I won't accidentally answer questions before we get to them.
No, it's a good idea. And do you know what? Before we do move over, Sam, I just want to make one last comment on that game.
Yeah.
As someone that was at the ground, do you know who I actually blame for the defeat? Not you, not me.
Go on.
Alan Mullery. Do you know why? Because you're on Twitter, so you probably saw why, didn't you?
Yeah, I know why.
Right, this guy, right, comes out at half time. And he's obviously played for Spurs and played for Brighton, and he had his success at Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just before he walks off the pitch, he says to us all, "Oh, and before I go, can you all thank the Brighton fans and Brighton for beating Arsenal last week?"
Yeah.
I mean, they're our opposition. Like, talk about putting a kiss of death on it.
I know. Do you know what? That's one of those things that's funny if we win.
Yeah.
But only funny if we win. It's like at full time, Tottenham have won this game 2-0. Alan Mullery, well, yes, thank you to the Brighton fans who've been wonderful. And big thank you to Brighton for beating Arsenal last week. Hooray! At 0-0, where we're playing shite, the crowd must have been like, oh no, Alan, no. Why would you do this to us?
Anyway, let's stop talking about Alan Mullery.
Yeah, okay, we are heading over to social media.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Right then, Facebook or Instagram, my friend?
Oh, I get a choice this week.
You do.
Right,
you do.
let's go Instagram.
Lovely Laura's Instagram is, we have, looks like 2 questions and a message have been sent into Instagram this week. So we'll start with the comments on the post. We have Rock Me Amadeus.
Like it. Like it.
We've not had a question from Rock Me Amadeus in ages, and I know because I enjoy saying Rock Me Amadeus.
I think if Rock Me Amadeus gets a bit of a ask question, I think that needs a theme. He or she needs a theme.
Yeah, that's
tune.
fair.
Because I like that.
Fair. Okay, Rock Me Amadeus. You comment again next week. You will have your own intro theme, like the Island Brother, who I've not heard from in a while. No. Now starting to get worried.
Yeah, I hope he's all right.
Island Brother, reach out.
Yeah.
And the Mountain Man. Okay, so Rock Me Amadeus says, was Conte's absence from training last week have any effect on the team's performance? Did you think the attitude from Spurs media... Okay, wow, it was you who said this. Sorry, Rock Me, I've already answered this. I deliberately said I wasn't going to answer any of these, and I've literally just done that. I'm really sorry. Did you think the attitude from Spurs media videos of the team training showed them not focused? It's an opinion going around. We have just kind of discussed that. I don't think so. No. I think, like I said, you've only got to look at the kind of videos that have been put out before other games that we've won, just to see that that's just the running theme. The club See, the thing is like when they beat Arsenal, Brighton beat Arsenal, I genuinely took that as a massive boost to us for two reasons. One, Arsenal dropped points, which is great, but two, we would take Brighton very, very seriously. Like, in my head, I thought to myself, if I knew that Brighton had just gone to the Emirates and won, when we went there earlier in the season and got smacked 3-1, and, you know, we're lucky to get one, and lucky we kept them to 3 at one point, I would look at that and go, okay, we know Brighton are going to strike, because Brighton didn't do anything revolutionary. You know, we can credit Potter and we can credit Brighton team performance. They came and did the same thing to us that they did to Arsenal the week before. Like, literally, it was the same game plan, the same thing, and they just came and did it well. So, knowing that they beat Arsenal, knowing that how they played, the only thing I would possibly say is maybe Conte's absence did play a part in not being fully prepared for that. I would like to think that the analysis, coaching and everything else like that would have happened the same way, but I know, you know, and everybody listening knows there is a big difference between work environment when your manager's there and work environment when your manager's not there. It's just the fact of life, isn't it? Like, you know, you're working in an office and the big boss comes in, everyone like has that little bit more head down, you know, a little bit more, you know, less chat, a little bit more. And then the big boss in there, everyone's that little bit more leaning back on their chair, you know, having a drink, leaning over the desk, you know, chatting to the nice person in the booth next to you. do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
completely.
just feel that little bit more relaxed. And perhaps that did creep in. It is impossible to say. I have not lived and worked in the elite sport environment. I can only try and attribute a workplace to what I do know, and I think that's the same for everybody. So perhaps it did have that little bit of a knock on where they weren't as focused. I do also think we do have a symptom in this squad, which is a nightmare, where they do sometimes think, oh, it's Brighton, we got this.
Yeah.
You know, we're Tottenham. We're better than them. And in the Premier League, that's lethal.
Yeah, but you've only got to look at Arsenal, haven't you? I mean, and
that's my point. Like, you've only got to look at what happened the week before, and it should have been enough to wake everybody up. Yeah, I don't get it. No, I genuinely don't get what happened. But thank you, Rock Amadeus. I hope we've answered that well. And then there's one here from another guest social media account called Spurs Reports. Dun dun dun. Have you covered transfers? I mean, we do talk about them.
Yeah.
We could have a bit of a chat about transfers, I suppose. Are there any good rumours? I mean, there's always funny ones. I mean, I always go through stuff and think to myself, well, that's hilarious.
I think Sam, it's one of those things where it just depends on whether we qualify for the Champions League or not.
Massively, man.
The whole transfer that our potential targets, our potential signings, really pivot on where we finish in the league. It can't. Yeah. It's so.
Well, I can talk about. I mean, you're absolutely right. The marquee recruitment is Champions League dependent. The what I would call solid squad recruitment, the club are already making moves on that. So I'll give you an example. Galini, for example, is on loan with us until the summer. By all accounts, a good pro, really great around the dressing room and stuff, but in games that he's played, he's not done enough that the coaching staff, Conte, and people think he's worth signing on a permanent deal. That's how these types of loans should work, really. You know, you bring them in, you give them games, you give them the opportunity to say, right, you know, Lloris is going to retire in a couple of years. Are you the guy that can go forward? No, we don't think so. So he is going to return back to his club. So the club does need to sign a second goalkeeper. At the moment, the people who I trust greatly when it comes to Tottenham are telling me that we are going to sign Sam Johnston, who is England keeper. You know, he's been in the England squad a lot. He's been playing in the Championship with West Brom. His contract expires in the summer, so it would be a free transfer. Basically, we can't do anything until his contract expired. And he's 29, which for a goalkeeper, to be honest with you, he's still got 4 or 5 years, really, at his best. Providing he's fit, obviously. And he is classed as homegrown, and so we would then help our squad status by replacing a non-homegrown person in the squad with him. And he would be genuine, and I do say this sincerely, he would be genuine competition for Lloris. I think Lloris is world class, but I do think Johnson is a very, very good goalkeeper. And
you say with his age, it's prime, isn't it? It's prime age for goalkeepers.
It is
pure prime age.
Absolutely is. And I think that you would then get a situation where they would. Because the thing is like, I think Lloris was at his absolute best when Michel Vorm was very good. I think Michel Vorm's level dropped after 2 seasons and really possibly should have been replaced at that point. And the club then brought in Gazzaniga, who was very good for us, genuinely very good for us. And again, Lloris went up a level. And I think Galini this season, when he's come in, hasn't done enough. And I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Lloris has been terrible or poor, but I think that guy loves the competition, loves the fact that some keeper will come in, give him a bit of a push, and I think he'd be like, all right, you think you're coming in here taking my shirt, do you?
Yeah, of course.
not a chance. And yeah, I like that. So that's one for people to keep an eye on. Another one which is sort of constant, and it's been around for a long time, is another one which would be a free transfer, is Jesse Lingard. Before he went on loan to West Ham last season, I think actually the majority of Tottenham fans were like, "What? No, that's why would we do that?" He went to West Ham and proved that when he plays, the guy is both creative and a goal scorer in that forward role, and does have an aptitude to work hard, which I think, I don't know about you, but I think that surprised a few people. I think it surprised me, because I've seen him at Man United for a good few years, and nothing has ever stood out. Nothing has ever really gone, wow, he's the man. And I've seen him like get picked for England and stuff, and I always thought, I don't get it. Why is he getting picked ahead of, this person or that person? But I think he has a tactical discipline, which David Moyes really utilised. And again, English, homegrown. So if you were to replace someone in the squad with him, again, you are improving your ability to recruit marquee signings potentially. So those are two I'd say keep an eye on. They're both players that the club like and have identified as potentially coming in to replace people in the squad. Replacing Galini, obviously Johnson, and the one that Lingard possibly replacing would be Steven Bergwijn. Bergwijn wants to play week in, week out, and he's not going to get that with us under Conte anyway. So the odds are that he's going to move on. But I don't know. I mean, he was obviously heavily tipped to go to Ajax, but now Ten Hag's moving to Man United. So
I think if he went back, back to the Netherlands, he would walk into any of them teams. And that's no disrespect to the league there. But
I agree. I think to be honest with you, he'd be starting for a lot of teams in the Premier League. Teams that would play with him in his role and his style. I mean, there's a good 8 clubs I can think of the top of my head where he would start for them, and to be honest, he'd be very good. I'd be almost gutted to see him move to another Premier League team. So I don't think he'd be short of options if the club allow him to go, and I think based on what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, the club would be willing, because he's been a great pro for us. He's just made it clear that I want to be playing more, which I think's fair.
Yeah, sure.
So there you go. So that's the bit on transfers. The message that came in says, "Hi Laura, question for the gents." Yeah, this is from Jack. Thanks, Jack. Called us gents. How kind. If you haven't already talked about it, could you please discuss the options for a backup to Royale if he also gets injured? Seems like they're stretched thin in that position. Maybe throw Lucas in there? Question mark. And congratulations on your engagement, by the way. That's obviously for Laura. That's not for us.
It's been a while since I was engaged.
Yeah, it's been a while since you. Yeah, no, did people congratulate you enough, mate? Do you feel like you need a little bit more?
No, I think it was sufficient at the time.
Sufficient. Okay. Good. Congratulations to Laura again. Yeah. Who's not very well this week, so everyone sends their best wishes. Royale. I'll tell you something. Watching the game at the weekend, Royale's not his name. It's a nickname.
Okay.
Yeah, did you know that?
No,
because
I
didn't.
No,
I know that Brazilians have like names that are insanely long normally, but typically they have some basis in it. Like for example, the Brazilian Ronaldo, the original, the best.
Fat Ronaldo.
Is, or you could say that, body shaming him. It's disgraceful, but yeah, him. He basically had a name that had Ronaldo in it, but it was like 15 names. It was like insane, like Jose, Luis, Carlos, Jesus, Ronaldo, just kept going on and on and on. But I've always thought that I knew that with Brazilian players, but I always thought that you did pick out something that was part of it. But no, Royale is purely a nickname, and I don't know how he's got it, because his real name is Emerson Aparecido Lieta de Souza Jr.
Right.
Yeah, I butchered that, by the way, so apologies everybody.
Do you think it, because it isn't in Pulp Fiction, it's the
Royale with cheese.
Right, he's obviously got to be a fan of the film, isn't he?
Yeah, Emerson Royale, Royale with cheese. So you want to name yourself after a burger? Yeah, well, I suppose. Careful, Tanguy's chasing you. Options at right wing back. Yeah, I mean, in theory, we are a little bit short there. However, anyone who looked to the bench against Brighton would have seen young Lavinier, who is a player who plays in our under-23 squad. He was released by Chelsea Academy about 3 seasons back, and we picked him up very, very quickly. He is a very, very talented right back, a full back, who can play a more aggressive forward role, so could easily come in as a right wing back. He was very highly rated at Chelsea, and they did want to keep him. However, if you look at the right side of Chelsea's academy and you look at the players they produced there, you can understand how they couldn't keep them all, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Tottenham really did move quick to get him as soon as he became available, and we've had him in the under-23s. I personally would have loved to have seen him get a loan this season, which didn't happen. Not entirely sure why that is, but
how old is he, Sam?
I want to say he's 21, but I'm going to double check that whilst we're talking. But he is a very, very talented, mature footballer,
right,
who, if he had the minutes to come on, like if he did make it onto the pitch, I think people would be impressed by him.
Yeah, sure.
I genuinely think they would be. He was born December 2000, so that would mean he's 21, 22 this December coming.
Oh, do you know what? I wish I'd asked now, because there grown adults in their 20s that didn't even see the last century. Sam, we're so old, aren't we?
Yeah. Someone pointed out the other day that, like doorman ID people.
Oh, that's what I
like,
remember this.
If a club is like you're 21 or over, if they look at the ID and see a 1 at the start of the year birth, they go, "Oh, you're all right," and they're like, "Well, don't you need to ask me?" No, I saw the 1. They're like, it's like, yeah, all right. Easy, Tiger.
I think Seb was asking me the other day. He said, "What was that? What was it like living in the 1900s?" And I'm like, "Jesus, mate, it wasn't that."
Don't call it that. Do not. Yeah, what was the 1900s like? Were there wars? Did you have to run from dinosaurs to start? Will you shut up? My daughter every now and again has one of these moments where she tries to put history in the context of what I've lived through, and I can see her little cogs turning with, if I ask this, is it offensive? But I'm going to have to go for it anyway.
I'm going to ask anyway.
Dad, do you remember before electricity? Right, you little shit. Listen. we are going to fall out. I mean, the actual one that does hurt me, that is true, is I am fully aware of what the life was like before the internet.
Yeah,
and you try and explain that to a kid,
and then try to explain to them when the internet first come along, and no one could use the home phone if you was using the internet because it was all connected.
Do you remember the friggin' noise it would make?
Oh my god!
Oh damn!
I know we're going off on a complete tangent, and while we're on this tangent, very quickly, very briefly, you're an intelligent man, Sam. So maybe I can ask you on the podcast. Mate, I don't want to depress everyone, but you mentioned the word electricity. My gas and electricity bill, I'm currently paying £80, and they've just contacted me, and all the comparison websites not interested anymore. You can't go to another provider; they're not interested. So I'm paying 85. I can either go on a fixed for 220 or a variable for 170. What do I do? Is it going to go up or down? You're the man in the know. Is it going to get more expensive?
God. What a question to ask me. Well, everybody listening, I do this. Oh, dear mate.
Do you know? Talking about gamble. Well, it's a gamble, really, isn't it? What you do.
It's a gamble,
but here's another gamble for you. Me and Seb renewed our Spurs season tickets yesterday.
Well, I'm impressed you've both renewed them because after the Brighton game, I think Seb was ready to walk away.
He said that. He went, I don't want my season ticket next season. I'm like, mate, it's one game, dude. Do you know what I mean? Come on. Think of all the good ones.
Bless him. But we've all had that day. We've all walked out of that stadium at some point, or White Hart Lane, and gone, never again.
Never again. Do you know what?
I am never walking back into that bloody theatre of nightmares ever again. And then it gets to about Wednesday and you go, who have we got next?
Yeah. Do you
that'd be a good game.
It's exactly how it played out. And do you know what? I think it comes with age, and you'll probably agree with me with this, but as I get older, it becomes less important. Don't get me wrong. I love supporting Spurs. I never saw, but I come away disappointed, but not kind of. But Seb, you can see the tears welling.
Well, it's life.
You could see the tears welling. You know, and what made it worse is he's got a little TikTok account, and before the game, he remembered to take his phone with him, and he was recording like all the the bit before, and he was like, I'm going to make a really good TikTok. And then as we're walking away from the ground, he's just deleting all the videos. He's like, TikTok.
Oh no. Yeah,
Bless him.
I hear you, mate. I hear you. It's painful. We haven't been able to get Mystic Seb going yet.
I know.
I did the whole jingle and everything. Yeah.
It's that kiss of death thing, though, Sam, isn't it? I'm worried that I want to do it, and he loves giving his predictions, and we'll put a pound on, but most of the time he just puts the kiss of death on it.
Let's keep our heads down and just hope we beat Brentford.
Exactly.
Good plan. And with regards to your gas and electric,
what do I do, Sam? What do I do?
Are they looking to get you to commit to a set direct debit every single month?
They are, but there's no exit fees. So, but I've heard that they're going to knock the price up again in September. So
so at the moment. I can't believe I'm doing this on a.
But this will help people listening who've in the same predicament.
At the moment, they definitely will see a price increase in September and October. Right. The main reason for that is they are still struggling to meet demand, and therefore the prices that are being charged to energy companies have gone up exponentially. Now, the government and a few agencies are trying to create more supply, so therefore the price will come back down. Even if they manage to finalise that in the summer, I don't think it would be quick enough to see a decrease before Christmas this year. So if you've got the opportunity to fix it with no exit, you say, then that might be the way to go. The one thing I'd say about the direct debit tariffs and stuff as well, though, is if you are paying a direct debit at the moment, but your bill is in excess. So, for example, if you pay 80 quid a month set, but then at the end of the month you're seeing actually your charges were more than that, see what the difference is before you commit to a higher direct debit. Because, for example, if you're paying 80 quid on a direct debit, but you've got to top that up with 40 quid, then that's 120 it's costing you every month.
Yeah.
If they're wanting to bump you up to 200 set every month, then it's like, well, hang on a minute. That's 60 quid that could be in my bank.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's going to put me into credit. I want that money in my account, not yours.
Not yours, yeah.
Yeah, so check that. But yeah, it's a crapshoot, I'm afraid. It is. It's yeah.
I think
I don't know what.
I really appreciate Sam. And I know this is a Spurs, but I think genuinely that sounded like such sound advice that I think we should still have like a little money expert section on our podcast, like as a little as a side, you know.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, I've got all my financial services qualifications.
There you go.
We'll put them to some use at some point.
That's why I wanted to ask you.
So we've got two more questions over onto the Facebook now. Matthew Fleming says, was that game down to Potter's tactics or inability to get up for the game? It was concerning to see the slow pace of the game and lack of drive. I think we've kind of discussed this already.
Yeah, I think Potter's tactics don't get enough credit, and it was one of them games where genuinely, I was counting the players on the pitch because I'm like, I swear they've got about 4 more players than us.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that as well. I thought that was just like a stupid thing I was feeling.
Yeah, like every time we had the ball, we got closed down. Every time they had the ball, it's like they've got all the space on the pitch. Like, how is this working? You know, which comes down to Potter's tactics. You know, he's got to get credit for that.
I think the frustrating thing for me is, like I said earlier on, this wasn't new. This wasn't like they sprung this amazing performance on us. They literally mirrored what they did the week before.
Yeah.
So we should have been prepared for that, and the fact we weren't is a bit troubling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you can't. The energy is something that like Conte being there doing tactical drills and stuff like that, there is nothing he can do about the team just lacking drive and energy. Like you said, it felt like anytime we had the ball, 4 of them closed us down. Whenever they had the ball, we were nowhere to be seen. Maybe one of us had closed them down, maybe 2. And when you do that, you create space, because if you're not moving forward as a team, closing down as a team, and pressing as a team, teams can just pull straight through you.
Yeah.
I think my biggest worry, right, watching this, which sounds stupid, we lost the game, which was so Tottenham, but we lost the game, and my biggest worry watching it was, if we play like that at Anfield, I think it's going to be potentially one of the most humbling defeats we have ever had in the Premier League. Because if you don't put energy in against the top side like Liverpool, they will rip you apart. And if you want to see an example of that, watch the highlights of Liverpool versus Man United from the other day. Because Man United showed up at Anfield and basically did what Tottenham did at home to Brighton, just ambled around. And Liverpool ripped through them like a knife through butter at will. I mean, they won the game 4-0, but if they tried harder, it could have been 8.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, look, I'm not gonna say we're gonna go to Anfield and you know,
No.
I think I think they're gonna beat us. But what I would say,
I think we'll be more up for the game.
Yeah, and look, you've only got to look at the example with Arsenal, right? Like I said earlier, like they lost 3 in a row. Everyone, right? I was at work yesterday, and I was going up to praying Chelsea win, and everyone was going, "You watch Arsenal win this one. You watch."
Yeah.
Chelsea fans were saying it, Arsenal fans were saying it. Yeah. You watch Arsenal win this one because they'll be up for it, you know. And I feel like that potentially was our problem with Brighton, like you said. Not that kind of like. It's Brighton, you know. Whereas, look at Man City. Look, we did a double over Man City. You know, I
think that's worth mentioning more. By the way, we did do the double over Man City.
Yeah, we did the double over Man City.
We did the double over Man City, where one of them was with Nuno in charge.
It's insane.
And we don't talk about Nuno, no.
Don't. Bless you.
That has made me laugh so much. We don't talk about Nuno. Tottenham, weren't you managed by Nuno at the start? We don't talk about Nuno. No.
Do you know what Layla said to me the other day? She really comes out with like really interesting things sometimes. She was like, "What would happen if all the and this is, I'm sorry if people haven't got children that listen to this, all the powers that the characters have got in Kanto were reversed." And I'm like, that's a really interesting one. So the perfect one is the most imperfect one. And I'm like, I like that. Do you know what I mean? You should do a little YouTube video or something of that. But yeah, I like it. But yeah, old lip licking Nuno. It was a roller coaster, wasn't it? I think that's the best way to describe that little era.
We don't talk about Nuno. No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Ryan Miller says, we've skipped signing a new contract, which I'm sure Sam opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate.
I can imagine that.
I did a couple of weeks ago when I knew. Yeah. What other players' contracts are we currently running the risk of losing them for free next season? Next season, no one. We are actually done quite well. So the highest profile person obviously for next season was Lloris. He signed a new deal now. We also had goalkeepers, which was kind of funny to me. It was basically like every keeper at the club was running out their contract. So Galini's loan, obviously we know we're going to allow that to expire, but then we had Whiteman and Austin, who are two of our academy graduate goalkeepers, and they've both signed deal extensions as well. So actually next season there's nobody. What I would say is from that point on it is high profile all the way, and the club does need to start working on that. The most obvious person that the club would like to sign a new deal would be Harry Kane. The odds of that happening go up exponentially if we get top four.
Yep.
The odds of that not ever happening if we don't are increasing. So that is someone that the club would love to sit down to and extend his deal. I understand with Conte and things feeling good, that would be amenable to him now. However, the club would still need to show some backbone and ambition this summer for him to probably sign the dotted line. But yeah, other than that, there aren't any. Not that I can think of, but there are a few that are coming up the following year. But I'd say that those are players that we're probably going to try and move on this summer anyway. The obvious one being Harry Winks. I think Harry Winks desperately needs to go and play football every week and enjoy his football again.
Yeah, do you know what? It reminds me. I know. We've spoken to him. I've spoken about him quite a lot. Not much recently, but we have on podcasts. We had a few weeks, didn't we, where he was getting spoken about quite a lot, and I know how you really like him.
Yeah.
And look, I think he's a Spurs. I said before, he's a Spurs boy, Spurs fan.
Yeah.
But it's now feeling a bit like the Andros Townsend scenario now.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit,
how it feels. And I'm sure you'd agree with me when you say that he's not progressed, does he? He just hasn't. And probably that isn't because of the game time he's not getting.
Yeah. It's sad for me. I mean, when he came into the team, he got introduced slowly. He got introduced the correct way, and Mauricio Pochettino showed the faith he had in him continuously by bringing him on in big games to control those games. I remember him being brought on at the Bernabeu. I remember him being brought on against like Liverpool and the top teams because he'd come on and do the job they wanted him to do. Just keep the ball moving, keep moving energy. I don't think it was injuries. I just think it was a loss of form, and I think Jose Mourinho couldn't get him playing the way he wasn't a Jose player in any sense, and I think perhaps at that point he realised maybe I need to leave. And once you kind of go through that, I think it's very difficult. Even if a manager comes in and goes, "Hey, I love the way you play, and this is how we're going to play with you," I think it's still very difficult to just switch it straight away.
Yeah.
Come back to it. And when you only get to play a game here, 45 minutes there, you can't rediscover your form. It's impossible. You can you can do a standout performance in the Europa Conference League on a Thursday, but then if you don't make the bench at the weekend, your motivation drops because you're like, oh, what's the point in me putting that in if I'm never going to get a chance or a crack? And so it's difficult, and I think he's fallen into that, and it's tough for me because of my affection for him, that I don't want to see him leave, but at the same time I think I need to look at it and go, much like with Dele Alli, and think, you need to go. You need to go and play football. I understand there are clubs who would happily sign Harry Winks this summer. Notably, there's Newcastle very interested in him. Straight away yesterday, with Fulham coming back up, straight away he was linked to Fulham. He could go to these teams, start every week, and I think people, it's the funny thing is, once you start to, I genuinely think people would look at him and go, bloody hell, why didn't he play like that for Tottenham? And he's one of those players, because like, you look at Andros Townsend when he left, and he went to, I think he did a couple of teams, but when he settled in at Palace, and he was playing consistently for Palace, he was a consistent threat to team, and he he didn't score every week, and when he did score, they'd typically be some worldy.
Yeah, against Man City, I remember he scored a
worldy. Like some blistering strike from 30 to 40 yards, and everyone would go, bloody hell.
Yeah.
But he was consistent. He was consistently playing well, consistently doing, and a lot of people were like, oh, why didn't he do that? It's because he played 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 30 minutes. You can't get that consistency. And I think Winks could go to a lot of clubs in the Premier League and be a consistently good Premier League football player. But I just can't see it happening at Tottenham now. And I think, and this isn't good for the player, but I think from a squad point of view, you got to remember, not only do you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players, you have to have a certain amount of club-trained players. So him being there, club-trained, I think is the main reason why we kept him for this season. Now, Oliver Skipp's age means he is now counted in the homegrown and club-trained quota. So if you were to allow Winks to go this summer, you've replaced him. You're not going to lose anything. My understanding is Japhet Tanganga also meets that criteria now. So you could let him go this summer, and I think he will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's everything from the questions, everything. So big thank you to everybody who sent them in. I want to say thank you to everybody who does consistently kind of email as well. I do appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I don't always get back to you that quickly. But yeah, we get a lot of emails, just people just generally chatting. Just like, oh, you said this, I find this interesting and stuff. So yeah, don't ever feel like you can't get in touch. Feel free. You can email in, you can message us via any of the social medias. I'm typically hanging around on Twitter, generally being a numpty. Lovely Laura runs the Instagram and the Facebook page. You'll get any of us, really. Try and put who you want to address it to in a message to Facebook, though, because typically one of us will read it, and then once one of us has seen it, none of the others know the message is there.
Yeah.
So if you go, hey, this is a message from Matt, make sure you write that, so that way if I read it, I'll go, right, copy, send that to Matt. Yeah. It's like, Matt, there's a message for you. Yeah. Or send one to Polynesian Dan, because he doesn't do a lot, and someone ought to make him do something, I think. But yeah, man, we got Brentford next.
Yeah.
Tottenham did a tweet yesterday that said, Brentford next, and I replied on Twitter just saying I'm mentally preparing myself for Eriksen ripping us a new asshole because I don't know how conflicted I'm going to feel to watch Eriksen play very well, because I'm going to be like, oh, look at Eriksen, he's playing so well, I'm so glad he's healthy. Bastard! I don't know. I think it's going to be the most conflicted I've ever felt about a player. I mean, how am I going to feel if Højbjerg lamps him early in the game? Like, no, don't hurt him. But okay. I don't know how I feel.
I guess the thing we've got on our side, not only do a lot of Spurs players know him, but our manager knows him as well. So
and Højbjerg knows him. They played together in Denmark. So
exactly.
I think if there's ever a squad that could nullify him, it should be us. Should on paper.
On paper.
But unfortunately, football's played on grass.
No, I know. Yeah.
Do you know Conte lives in a hotel and is the same hotel Ericsson lives?
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, a pair of them like have breakfast and stuff together, which cracks me up. Would you genuinely now consider having Ericsson back at Tottenham next season?
Yeah, I know the papers are trying to stir that.
They love that idea. Yeah, I've not seen anyone of any note say it, so I think. But what do you think on that? Because I again genuinely am torn on that, because I have very fond memories of Christian Eriksen playing for us, but then the end, when he clearly mentally checked out, he was a shadow of the player he was. He got his move in the end, and I was kind of, by the time it happened, I was done. I was glad. Obviously, his health, all of us, you know, any kind of animosity, anything just vanished. It was just like, oh my God, please be okay, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact he's recovered, the fact he's come back playing football is a wonderful, wonderful story. But I don't know. I've seen him play a couple of times for Brentford this season, and I thought he's looked excellent. But again, I'm just not. I don't know how I feel about that at all.
It's sentimental, isn't it? And it's the same probably with Gareth Bale as well. I mean,
yeah.
I would I like to see Gareth Bale in a Spurs shirt again? Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
but would it be the right
probably.
move? Probably not. You know, the same
The
body.
Bale one's interesting as well, because that's another one you see a lot. BBC Wales. So this is genuinely the BBC Wales, who cover all of the Welsh national stuff, put a thing out a week ago saying Bale signed a pre-contract with Tottenham. And like no one's run with it. No one's. And I'm like, this is the BBC Wales. I mean, this isn't a tabloid. I'm like, what the hell? So I like done some digging, and I forwarded the article to a few Tottenham journalists. They went, well, no one's saying anything to us, but that doesn't mean it's not true. You know, our sources typically confirm things or deny things, and we've gone, what about this? And they've just ignored it. Which, you know, so that's not a confirmation or denial. It's just kind of, we're not entertaining that. I don't know, because to me it's one of those things where, if Wales qualify for the World Cup, Gareth Bale needs to play football. He needs to be training. He needs to be fit. Would he play week in, week out for Tottenham? No. But would he be on the bench and get minutes consistently? I think yes. I think even at his age now and his diminished speed, etc., I think Gareth Bale still has a role he could play at Tottenham next season, because if you watched us against Brighton, Bale could have made a difference in that game.
Yeah.
You see us making changes and stuff like that. Gareth Bale has the ability to come on with a pass, a no-look something, or a shot, a free kick, and that's it. You know, the game's changed completely in an instant. And that is the sort of thing, you can't put a price on that, you know, and being able to sign him on a free transfer, so, you know, his wages is it, you know, that's the thing. And Bale already made it abundantly clear himself, I ain't never getting paid what I've been paid at Real Madrid ever again, you know, so I'll get paid, you know, I don't need to earn millions to go and play football. I just, you know, and it'd be about Wales, for me anyway. If I watch him and I seem to have an impression of him, if Wales get to that World Cup, he is going to want to be at his absolute best.
Completely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he knows the, you know, the facilities and everything at Tottenham, and he also seemed to genuinely love being back. Like, you only got to look at videos and stuff of him in Spain right now to realise he came on the pitch a couple of weeks ago to booze.
Yeah, by his own fans,
yeah, he just had a smile on his face, like, oh, whatever.
Man,
and you only got to see the fun he had, like all the videos, all the behind-the-scenes stuff at Tottenham when he was back, of him just genuinely just really enjoying himself being back at Tottenham. And also, he seemed to really quite love playing with Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Like, those two were basically almost in games sometimes, like, trying to outpass each other. Do you remember, like, watching a few of them, like, and here's Bale hitting a 30-yard through ball to Kane, and here's Kane hitting a 35-yard through ball to Bale. It was like, all right then, all right, you think you can do that? All right, try it off your left foot, wallop.
Yeah.
It was like a who's the man situation, and it was fun to watch, but we didn't get to see it really because we weren't allowed in the bloody stadium.
Real shame.
So
Real shame.
would a last dance style thing for Bale work for me? Probably. But it's all down to the manager and how he utilised it. Like, Jose wanted Bale to come in and be the Bale of old. I think if Jose's mentality had been, right, Bale, 20 minutes, he can give me something in games. Or if we're playing against a team that sit deep, everything like that's when Bale starts, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, it just never worked. I don't think Jose and Bale were ever a good mix, to be honest. You know, Bale needs a Harry Redknapp style. And I don't know if Conte would be a good mix with Bale. But I think Conte would be very straightforward in the kind of, right, if I sign you, this is what I want you to do, expectations. And I also think Bale's at a point in his career where he'd be able to say, well, honestly, no, I can't do that. I can't run like that. I can't do that. So if it does happen, I think it'd be because they've agreed this is how we're going to get the best out of each other. But I don't know. I don't see it personally.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We shall. Okay, that's it. That is us. Tottenham play Brentford next. If you're looking at the table, it is very, very close. I, of course, have been looking at the table thinking, okay, Arsenal have won their game in hand. We're level on points. We're above them on goal difference. So that basically means our game against them is now looking more and more like, you know, hell.
Yeah.
That game is going to be hell.
Imagine having tickets. Imagine having tickets for the game, Sam.
Yeah, mate, I couldn't. I've said this for years. I don't enjoy the North London derby. No. I endure it. I just can't. It's the worst feeling ever. I was chatting to my Gooner mate yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, look, we beat Chelsea 4-2." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I could have told you that was going to happen."
Yeah, but I bet she was quite quiet when they lost the 3 games prior to that.
Always quiet. But we need to bounce back fast. You know, a Brighton defeat, we got to shake that off quickly, and we need to win our next games. Yep. So Brentford it's going to sound so stupid, but it must win, must go there and win, must get the momentum back, and then we go from there. I think Arsenal play Man United this weekend, so that's the 2 teams that are on us. So we have to win. You know, because one of them's going to drop points, one of them's going to pick up points. Mm-hmm. Sadly, both can't lose. Yeah. But yeah, we got to win. So that's this weekend. Big thank you to everybody for listening. Fingers crossed we're back next week talking about a glorious victory and Christian Eriksen getting a token free kick at the end of a 5-1 Tottenham win or something. Big thank you to everybody for listening. We'll be back soon. You all take care.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.